My apologies, ladies and gentle-tubers, but once in a while I have to do a video that doesn't have a whole lot to do with motorcycling, but rather focuses on a bigger theme, and this is one of those videos. So if you'd rather not hear me wax quixotic and just watch some good footage, feel free to mute my ramblings, put on some music, and enjoy the scenery. But for those of you who would like a little story and maybe feel some inspiration for change, well, here we go. Life gets weird when you put it on the internet. I get comments all the time about how I'm slow, how my lines are terrible, how I need to do this or do that to go faster. I generally write these off because while I enjoy improving, they really offer no help because there's not any concrete feedback, and I'm not into racing, so it doesn't matter. And I also enjoy riding my own ride. Well, that happens with other things too, and I recently got a pretty blunt message from one of those social media experts. He praised the production value that goes into my videos, but then pointed out all the ways that I was failing compared to other channels in the genre, and how I'd lost nearly half of my patrons and how my views were pretty much pathetic when stacked up to the effort I put into these productions. Well, my first response was pretty typical. I felt angry that I was failing. I felt jealous of all of my competition who was successful, and I felt defensive, like I had to prove something to this guy who I'd never even met before. Then I thought about hiring him to fix my problems because maybe he could supercharge my channel. Then again, I've heard all of this before. I know the strategies. I could go out and snag the newest, most awesome dirt bikes out there, the ones that would just kill it with the keywords. I could review the most expensive, coolest, top-of-the-line gear. I could pull in sponsors with very gentle, easy reviews on overpriced products and sugarcoat all the negatives. I could post 3 or 4 times a day to Facebook and Instagram and crank out more videos on the channel. I could kill it on Patreon by running raffles and bike giveaways. I could spam my content in a myriad of groups and forums to get all kinds of views. I could do a lot of things that would bring me more money and more fame and more followers, and I wouldn't need this guy's help to do any of those. And then I got back to reality, back to my roots. Why do I even run this channel? Is it to get famous and have an enormous following? That's definitely not the case, because I squirm when somebody recognizes me in public and practically soil myself when I attend large rallies because of the anxiety that I feel of having people know me that I don't know. I rarely even visit my own comments sections anymore because I feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by questions that I shouldn't be the authority on. Overwhelmed by the kindness that I don't feel I deserve, and overwhelmed by the occasional negativity that I can't help but hyper-focus on. It's just who I am, so please forgive me for not being present in those comment sections, but I'm just kind of a more personal, small group kind of guy, and I think that my time is better spent either creating content for the people who do enjoy it, or spent with my family rather than in the comments sections. So do I have this channel to make a ton of money with sponsorships and brand deals and stuff? Well, beyond taking care of my family, no. I've passed up a few lucrative sponsorships for products that I didn't really believe in, and even a salary from a well-known company who asked me to be the front man in their video productions. As far as sponsors go, I've actually got a few hundred private producers that contribute a few bucks monthly to make sure that the content stays true and unbiased and independent and creative and random and stupid sometimes. And they allow me to make pretty niche videos. And that is the thing, these niche videos. I try and focus more on how adventure feels than on the facts and figures and horses and grams and the latest trends and how awesome you'll look on the newest, greatest, most expensive machines. I could definitely grow my channel if I focused on the newest expensive ADV bikes and top-of-the-line dirt bikes. It's easy to get a lot of views on a hot keyword, some sensational clickbait, a numbered list, or a trending controversy, but it's much harder to plug how adventure feels into YouTube's tags. If I was only focusing on what's awesome or trending, I would never have dared to talk about depression or anxiety or some of the honest downsides of dual sport motorcycling. Those things are never trending. I couldn't do honest vlogs. I couldn't quote musicals or reference sci-fi like the absolute nerd that I am. I couldn't be myself. If I went only with what's trendy, I would have ditched the old, slow, putt-around dual sport genre long ago. My content would be driven by what's popular, and not by a genuine passion for the old, the slow, the cheesy, and the real. This channel would basically be TMZ with motorcycles. So think of your ideal trail. Maybe it's long and winding. Maybe it's a twisty road somewhere in the Alps. Maybe it's a single track or a back road. It doesn't really matter what it is. Whatever trail we're on, eventually we're going to get to the end of it. And I know that sounds simplistic and stupid, but at the end of that trail, whatever's there, wherever you are, that's where you'll be. That's where you'll end up. That's what you'll end up with. So I'm grateful for this expert guy who sent this email. Grateful to remind myself exactly why I do what I do. Why my trail leads to where it does. Why I leave the trendy and the sexy and the fame to other people while I plug along doing what I love, focusing on my family and small groups of friends and creating real relationships in the real world. So I want you to ask yourself, what does your life's trail lead to? What's at the end of everything you do? Is it retirement? What about when you're older and your body's kind of past its prime? Will it be too late for those bucket list adventures? Does your trail end with fame? What happens when that 15 minutes is over? What about money? Many difficult trails lead to fistfuls of cash, but at a sacrifice of a much more finite commodity, which is time. Is there some kind of a trophy at the end of your trail? Maybe a huge house or a prominent and powerful position? Some kind of symbol that proves something, proves that you're better than somebody else or everybody else maybe. Well, what happens when those that you've worked so hard to prove all this to put that trophy right in their face, what happens when they acknowledge their defeat? How long will that victory feel good? What's next? Or worse yet, what if they never cared about your achievements anyway and only ever saw you as an object of criticism and will forever see you as a failure no matter what you achieve? Is it really worth spending your life's ambition to please these proverbial empty wells? I want you to look at your life's trail. It doesn't matter whether you're just about to the end of it or whether you've just bumped up the kickstand. And perhaps most importantly, more important than your final destination, do you like the trail that you're on right now? Is it fun? Is it a slog? Is it filled with variety and beautiful things, or is it a bland, flat freeway rushing towards your inevitable destination? In the dual sport and adventure travel world, we know this intimately, but so often we use an easy freeway to get from point A to point B, putting the destination above the adventure of getting there. Remember that on the trail of life, the adventure is had on the trail, and the final destination is rarely more important than the beauty of getting there. So this is the morbid part, but at the very end of your trail, when you die, you can leave an inheritance of money and property and houses and stuff, and show off your trophies when you're laying in your casket, that are based on a life of trends and popularity and these trophies that prove your superiority in some very specific way. Or you can leave an inheritance of knowledge and memories and truths, and a legacy of good times and inspiration and positive emotions. A heritage of time spent doing meaningful things spent with meaningful people. And yeah, you need money for that, but the money is just the gas to get you down the trail. It doesn't really take that much to make it if you're not competing or racing to the finish, and money is definitely not the end itself. So I think about these corny videos that I make that don't get that many views or gain that many subscribers. But I have this different metric. It means a little more to me than the faceless numbers to flash in front of potential sponsors. Because I've never once had a message that said, "Hey, your subscriber count really inspired me." But I actually do get plenty of messages that say, "Hey, that video or that time that you talked about your battle with depression or that thing that you said or that scenery that you shared, that inspired me to do something, to change something, to get out and be something." That's a pretty good metric. And I think about my stagnant growth on social media and my cheap, old, unpopular dual sports and the janky tours that I put together out of my basement. And how fulfilling my life is when I meet these awesome new people on a level that's so much deeper than screens and keyboards and one-upsmanship and looking cool. And I have money to spend because I put reliability and value before looking really awesome or being popular. And just how liberating it feels to put family before work and popularity and followers and all the trends. So to each his own, but I am very happy with the trail that I'm taking and the bike that I'm on and the pace that I'm going and exactly where that trail leads to. Much love, ladies and gentle tubers. eveRide out.